bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Okay, greetings everyone, greetings to our viewers at home. Thank you very much for joining us. This week, as you might have seen in our ad, we have this book by senior advocate Moses Kakane. We had an opportunity of sitting with him a few weeks back when he was in Durban to launch the book. The book is really it's in relation with today's topic or today's subject of colonialism, disguising as Christianity. All things that a lot has been taken away from different groups, especially Tiniko's favorite word is global south, especially on the global south countries. Now we need to zoom into how did these guys conquer the world. Firstly, we can go back to the Roman years, 318 BC, the Council of Nia, Constantine, bringing religion, formalizing Christianity, conquering the Jews, conquering the Greeks, and many other things. And all those events roll into today's time. Now, we need to zoom in understanding what happened. Some of the things that, if you read this book of Babus Kakane, it explains some of the things and the pain that we went through. But it did not start from there. It came from centuries and centuries ago, and then it kept on rolling. Now we're seeing a lot of events, wars that are still happening. One unjustified war, in my opinion, is the one that is happening in Palestine, where, again, the Zionists are slaughtering Muslims, while the other Muslims are just witnessing and watch, from their windows, and they worry that because the money that they have, it's kept in the banks of the people who are taking innocent women and children in Palestine. So we will say to our viewers, the one that will be the first to ask the question, your details will be taken down, and then you will be, this will be your prize. You will win this book. But before we carry on, Tiniko, you are coming from a Christian background. You were once devoted to church. You were once this person that will wake up in the morning, go clean a church. You won't even clean your house, by the way. You'll clean the church first, and then they take 10% of your money, unjustified so, and then they brainwash you. In the church of 1,000 people, the prosperity can only I travel to. I don't find that successful countries are religious. So, what is your understanding? What's going on?
Yeah, this is a very disturbing topic, especially when we look at how Christianity was used as a colonization tool. Even today, it's making things happen to favor few people and those who misbehave, because the world now is not a bearable place for one to live. It's a place of pain, and all these are being sustained through the book that we call it holy, the holy book, but in reality, the book is not holy. So I will say, in a question, we can look at the wrong areas about Christianity as a religion and its practice. Some people will tell you that it's not a religion. It is a religion because to me, it's a dogma. It's a written document that was made to be utilized for the sake of passing the message that even today we're not able to test. The book, one area will say that is gender bias. Experience of gender biasness, we can look at the issue of who is God. God is said to be a man, and then we also have the Son. We have the 12 disciples who are all male people there. So it demonstrated the patriarchal society. And we know the problems that was brought in by the patriarchal society. And then God, as an, the Bible also demonstrates God as an evil, supernatural being, because God happened to facilitate violence and genocide in the Bible, especially the Old Testament. We see in Deuteronomy, Joshua, and First Samuel, where God commanded the Israelites to go and conquer the Canaanites and destroy certain nations like the Amalekites. And in that, we hear God saying through Deuteronomy that you shall not leave alive anything that breathes. God cannot be a good God if he is sustaining or promoting such violence. And then in 1 Samuel 15, chapter 3 also, we heard through quote, now go and strike Amalek. And such set stories of destruction, to me, it doesn't demonstrate God as a good good being, because in there he was saying that do not spare anyone, finish all of them. This such of acts, to me, the Israelites, when they justify through the Bible, they say that are judgments, the way you destroy the evil doers and then leave the righteousness. But knowing the Israelites' behavior as it unfolds today, they cannot be used as a tool for punishing evildoer, because they are themselves the evil doers. They are not righteous. They were in Egypt based on what the Bible has been saying, and then they got mistreated. And then the question was, why? Why were they mistreated? They went to Yemen and mistreated again. And the why question remains unattended. And now the very same people are busy destroying the Palestinians because of the book that cannot be cross-referenced. This book, to me, I can use vulgar language on it because it's a problem in the country, and I know that the true God will not punish me for telling the truth. In the creation itself, Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, use understand to get the different explanation about the creation of the world. And then you'll hear about the story of Judas Iscariot, how he left the earth. Some in areas we find that they're saying that he happened to hang himself, and then other areas they said he fell in the field and his body burst open. So such stories of conflicting, it demonstrated that this book cannot be cross-referenced. Paul says his own things that he says that faith can save you, and then in James it said the faith without work is dead. And to me, those stories, they don't add up for us to see the book that we're making it as a reference to explain how the world should operate. And the very same book today, it's used to run the show. But in the book itself, there are missing scriptures that are supposed to be imported for one to understand the Bible. For example, I can give three. The book of Jasher, it's mentioned in Joshua and also in Samuel, but it doesn't exist. The book of wars of the Lord, it's mentioned in Numbers, but it doesn't exist. And the book of Acts of Solomon, it's mentioned in Kings. So when you look at those areas, you are able to tell that this book has the missing link, showing that the biblical canon is not a complete record that one can use as a reference for the lives that we're living today. To me, the book, it's a cooked up thing. It
But
doesn't tell you the truth. Yeah.
why are we so comfortable? I mean, we have seen people go to school, have PhDs, become teachers, become professors, but why, out of all these people that are educated, they are still stuck in that hole where when you go to university, you study with so much books like this behind me, and you have to research and go to different lengths. But this one book in particular, why is this book so powerful to kill so many people around the world without any form of accountability? A book that has zero consistency. For example, when you grow up or when you read the Bible, in Samuel, they tell you, in the very same Bible, they tell you that David killed Goliath. But in the very same Bible, it was not Goliath who killed. It was not David who killed Goliath. It was his brother.
Yeah.
The other part, it says he killed him. He hit him with a sling, and then he cut his throat. The very same book. So I heard
Yeah.
you demonstrating the inconsistency of this book. But my question is, I see prosperity in those countries that don't necessarily use this book to push their own, the Buddhists, the whatever, the Chinese, all these other people. Why in the West, even the educated, even the senior people that are respected in our communities are still falling victim of the same thing? What do you think is the reason behind that? Because we have seen a lot of unprovoked wars that were fought in the name of this book.
Yeah. Let me just demonstrate a few areas with the loopholes, and then I will be able to answer the question that you are bringing forward. I think most of the questions we need to ask James. We have the version by King James, and inside the Bible itself, we have a chapter about James. So it's the book of James. But when we look at the name James, it's not a Jewish name, it's an English name. So how we find it inside the Bible, it's still something that I can't find answers on it. So demonstrating that this document, even if it was true, but it was really, really manipulated to serve particular
A particular
individuals.
purpose.
Yes, yes. The book itself, for example, it demonstrates racism as Jesus Christ himself demonstrated. You know the story of the Canaanite woman who asked help from Jesus Christ, and Jesus said, I was sent only for the Jews. So that demonstrated that he himself,
Mm.
Jesus, was also was also a racist. So if the writing was given to us like that, and people think that we need to praise the Israelites, then we also have eyes that are open to understand that racism doesn't from the Israelites didn't start today. it's in ancient world, and also the Bible is able to demonstrate that. So and then there's also an area where Jesus Christ called the Gentiles dogs. And what are the Israelites saying to the Middle East people today? They see them as nothing. That's why they're busy trying to make sure that they don't exist anymore. Jesus Christ, the very same Jesus Christ that we are praising today, it was also gender bias, because you look at the people that was around him, majority were men. The 12 disciples that he confirmed were all men. Yes, we have the story of Mary Magdalene and others, but the area of focus, the approval was around men. And then the parable of the stupid or foolish girls and also the clever girls, it's all about women. He lived in a patriarchal world, but he said nothing to address that. Women were considered inferior to men and they did nothing. Religious education was denied to women. By that time, he did nothing. So there's a lot that we can see as a loophole that was brought in by the Bible. So the Bible, it's a baseline of cultural expectations that we are living in it today. It's something that one needs to question. For example, have you ever heard the Christian around the world standing against the Israelites on what they are doing today? They live like as if nothing it has happened. They wake up and go to the church and then praise the Bible, the very same Bible that it has coined the current fight. Because if God says, go and destroy all and never leave anybody behind, it shows that it instigates violence, it instigates the genocide, and there's nothing wrong with that. And how do we justify that as Christian, when Christians are sitting behind and do nothing about it?
But do you think they understand the extension that the Zionists hate Christian people? There's a lot of churches that have been shut down. There's been so many things that are not in line of their own belief system of Christianity. They don't know that. But I just want to go back a little bit. You touched on James. King James version of the Bible, of which he interpreted. The King James, the same one that was a homosexual, the same one that hated women, the very same one that killed his own mother, the very same one who started interpreting in 1604, completing in 1611. Hence his version. There's a lot of books that they left out. There's a lot of things that did not add up. I mean, there's 19 books that have been removed. The Book of Enoch, the Book of Judith. There's other books that the Book of Enoch, where it spoke about let my people go. All those things that have been left out. So my concern is that the provocation and the Christians that are blindsided by saying Jerusalem, that's where if there's a rapture, people will gonna go there. I mean, it's got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with us, this part of the world. It's got nothing to do with us. When this whole thing was introduced, we should have stopped and reflect and say, why is this religion so brutal?
Yeah.
Why were people raped and killed so that they can pronounce this thing? Why was it forced? The second part is that if religion was for real, white people or the colonial masters wouldn't be giving us. No, no, they
Or we will be
wouldn't give
rich.
us. No, they wouldn't give us. Like what we were
Yeah.
discussing. In the heart of a village where everything, including the school, it's mud schools, but there will be one face brick building that's a Roman Catholic church with a big cross.
Yeah.
And you find our people going there to kiss a doll.
Yeah.
And they get tap water, they say, "Down, this is holy water." Come on. In saying all these are the things that perpetuated a lot of wars. When are we going to understand that majority of our conflicts came from religion? Today, there are families that are divided. There's family problems because some decided to abandon who they are and follow this brutal, murderous, warmongering religion that has destroyed so many people and so many lives. How do you think? I mean, we're still going to go on how the British attack China in order to continue with their influence. But for now,
Yeah.
I want you to take us through. I want us to understand this. I want our black people, or I want our people to understand the religion, the purpose of the religion. In Africa, we don't have a religion; we have a way of living. So,
Yeah.
but
So
a religion, it looks more like a subscription.
yeah.
Uzwe, and you can hear kunemvuselelo. Where on earth have you ever? Why do you have to have a vuselelo for your ancestors? Why do you have to revive something that lives in you? And the champions of that religion are engaged with wars for the past 400 years without faith, and we still turn a blind eye on that.
Yeah. So
Take us through.
we can contextualize Christianity to power control and institution influence. We can look at legitimizing political authorities. Rulers and empires have been often used the Bible to justify their nonsense. And then king rights, the divine rights of the king. It's taken from the Bible. The issue of institutionalizing religions and hierarchies. When you're not member of a church or you are not a church goer, people don't see you as a human being. They see
Yes.
you as an evil somebody who must be put into order. You don't have order. You must go through the Bible. The very same document used as a controlling legal and moral codes. When you go to court, they say, raise your hand, and then
Raise your hand
you
and put
must
it in the
be
Bible.
given the Bible. You must be given
When you're about to lie,
you're only about to lie, and then you swear using the Bible to tell the truth, and then at the same time you lie. So if this is about the true God, the Bible shouldn't be used in that manner. And then it shapes education and information. For centuries, the Bible literacy. I went to school when I started to go to school. I find that there's a religious course and it's about the Bible. People must know the Bible. It was by force. I'm happy today this is not longer at the center. Children are not learning nonsense. They are focusing on other things. It also regulates the social order and class. We look at the slavery and the patriarchy and the obedience of the society, where the ruling class was using the Bible to suppress movements and also contest from from other people, and then it also influences wars and conquest. It justify colonialism, the expansions that took place. So I can try to trim this from the concepts that I have explained, that is political power, social control, and also institutional authority, and give significant examples. You look at the medieval Europe, monarchs on claiming the divine rights of the king. And then where everyone beside that family who is the divine right of the king was the subject. Imagine you are being called the subject. And in apartheid South Africa, what did they do in apartheid South Africa using the Bible? They call themselves the chosen people to
yes.
allow separation. So the very same document is so problematic, and people are not able to see. On social control, religious leaders and institutions are using this Bible to restrict people's behavior. You can't behave in that manner. God doesn't want. Even in you go to funerals, once they say the pastor is the time for the pastor, I move away from listening to nonsense, because they will be attacking local people, inyanga, and then see themselves as people who have access to God. Nonsense. Nobody can be able to justify the nonsense that they are doing, but governments are promoting that, because if we were to talk about equality, the pastors were not supposed to talk rubbish about other groups. People must follow their Bible without touching anybody. And then institutional authority. The Catholic Church, like you said, they have right to interpret the scriptures, and also have rights to change the verses of the Bible. But if it's me, Tinyeko, come and say that this verse is not sitting well, they're not going to allow that. But they themselves, they are able to do so. The Bible itself, gender and hierarchy, it we know in Timothy, the first Timothy chapter 2, verse 12, where a woman is not allowed to teach, to assume authority over men. You must be the second class of the society. And then cultural hegemony. There's a lot. Europeans use the very same Bible to conquer us, looking at non-Christian countries as barbaric, backward, who must be civilized through the Bible. Hence, they came up with the Bible. When I reviewed the White Man's Burden, a poem, I said, oh, well, it's about the Bible, because it's nothing more than that. It's about civilization, colonialism, and commerce, all these coming through the mouth of the Bible. Whatever happened through the Berlin Conference and post-colonialism operations, all it's about the Bible. So we can.
Have you noticed that religious people don't necessarily like to work? Religious people, they have a certain belief of wanting to be given.
Yeah.
They feel like even if they have a court case, Abazalwan must put money together for me, for my
Yeah.
lawyer. He doesn't have petrol. Abazalwan, it's a certain disease of a fake ideology that males apply. I hardly see women go around and say, Bazalwane, bless me with this. A woman will keep quiet and rather do something. Men are not even shy to stand in the podium and ask and start to hustle his congregation, creating this fake life about the 10% of their money that they've worked hard for. I mean, there are people that I know, people that are close to me, that Bushir took all their pension money and he kicked down with it. And they still don't see anything wrong about it. So, do you think this religion that is destroyed so much in the name of war? Look, the military industrial complex, they use the religion because they manufacture arms and they
Yeah.
sell, and people getting killed. And when the soldier died there, I mean, you look at America's this side, China's this side, but when that soldier died there, they said no, he died for his nation. No, it's not correct. If you die for a nation, die in your backyard.
Yeah.
You know,
Not going somewhere and destroy, and then you say that
and then
I
you
was
say
doing
you
the
die
work
for your
of the Lord.
freedom. You
Yeah.
know, these are things that I don't get. We have Tonga here. that says Advocate Kakane in this book questions how can we all serve the same God that favors others and live in dire poverty. Amazing book, political. So Tonga, you the first one. I don't know if Tonga has the book already, but he should have been the winner of the book, because what he's talking about here, it's in the same subject. It's the same thing that we were actually talking about. So my biggest concern is that we don't understand. That's what I'm saying. If religion was real, these guys would not have given us.
Yeah,
You understand? They will teach
it's
you
a treasure.
everything. They won't teach you financial literacy. They won't tell you about how to. We find out these things from people that when you have a property, you can refinance. They kept that information for themselves because it's very important. Financial. So now you have the black people who believe in this Christianity, who are professional beggars. You have these guys who are not so religious, but they have the know-how. They know
Yeah,
majority of these farmers. They understand that religion was a control tool
yeah,
and the brainwashing institution. You know, so and Britain and the Romans and all these conquerors, they know how to. So, are you saying to me, Tiniko, that in the past 400 years, are we still asleep? Are we still sleeping? Are you telling me
yeah,
that nobody will say, guys, let's wake up? This thing is not real. Why are we still living in poverty? I mean, you look at the churchgoers, you look at our Limpopo main church. There's a tendency of walking with their uniform. They will walk from uh, 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 Ezola to Deep Kloof. You give him a lift, he said, no, it's fine. Why does it have that cult
yeah,
ideology? Why our churches are cult-like? You're not allowed to do. And Muslims as well. Let's touch on Muslims. Why are they
yeah,
so easy to be infiltrated as well? They have their own problems. They have a tendency of calling people who are not Muslims non-believers.
yeah.
They call you a
I
non-believer.
think I think all came in, and then we took everything without digesting. I know that when the Bible came into play, there were people who tried to resist, but they were forced that they must um, take the Bible because they could see the problem with the Bible. However, it was not easy for them to resist because when you are forced and then you end up taking it and then follow the socialization, when you are raised up in the context of the Bible, it's not easy for you to go against that. And then you also have the fear of death, where people think that when they die and they don't go to heaven, it's going to be a horrible place where they are going to, because they're going to be burning for forever.
Yeah.
Ah, burning forever. And those are the things that the problem is that we don't question things that come
We're not
through the Bible.
allowed.
We
We're not
look
allowed
at
to
it
question.
as a supreme a thing that mustn't be touching, while at the same time the very same religion, it elevates one tribe. It's about the Israelites. It includes violence commanded by God Himself. It justifies racism, conquest, and
And,
sexism, and all this nonsense that we're experiencing. But people can't question it because one more other thing, how especially the non-Western countries, they can't question it, is because we were groomed into Western, half done Western operations so that we continue depending on them. And then when we start questioning all these things, they're saying that they're going to take what they have been giving you. So you must comply. Or if you don't comply, then your bread it's gone. So when this book is justifying exclusion and violence and erase other beliefs, and you're not able to question that, you need to know that somebody is holding a gun against it. Why is our government not questioning this? We have the constitution of the country. It says that everybody has the right to religion. That statement, to me, it's nonsense. If it says everybody has right to spirituality, it will be something else. Why I say that it will be something else? Because spirituality, it's about learning life, learning spiritual ways through experience. It's not about the experience of the Israelites that I must duplicate and bring it to South Africa, to black people here in South Africa. Those were their own experiences and were able to tell the loopholes. So it's unfortunate our constitution was written by blind people who didn't do much to save us. Maybe they were also writing at the gunpoint, because these are some of the questions or critical questions that we need to question as the world.
So, but okay, because I'm trying to demonstrate, or we need to try and demonstrate the effects. As I was explaining, in the Muslim world, in the Muslim world, ask one question: why in the Muslim world, when other Muslims are being attacked, they keep quiet? There's a lot of sectorial divisions that are there. There's a lot of sectorial wars and tribal wars that are being fought within the Muslim world. And the CIA or the West or so-called Christian countries have found a niche on how to deal with them. We had an issue 3 weeks ago in Syria where the Druze community, who are supported by Israel, were fighting against the Sunni communities. Now, there's the Druze, there's Sunni, there's Shia. Shia is Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Yemen, part of Bahrain, part of Iraq. These are Islamic countries. Then there's the Sunni. The Sunnis are the ones that are around Palestine. Your Jordan, your UAE, your Abu Dhabi, your Saudi Arabia, your Dubai, your Qatar, all of those guys. You want to tell me that if all these guys can come together, look at the map and look at how Israel is situated. It's like this. All around is the Muslim countries, but they can't do anything. Some of these Muslim countries, they will give an airspace for other Muslims to be attacked. Now, and even with them too, they still believe in hell. They still believe that you're gonna burn. Are you saying that the master, he came with this Islam and Christianity? Are you saying that? Does it come from the same source?
Yes, it seems to be coming from the same source, because these religions, they are competing with one another. In the Quran, there is a verse where Jesus Christ is recognized as the messenger of God, not as the son of God. So you can tell the competition. But I want to go to the context of Islam. It's divided. There are those who believe that the person who was supposed to take over after Muhammad is supposed to be his immediate family. And then some say that no, it should be Usbar. And then the division comes in. So
Abu Bakr.
so the religion itself, it got these ways of making sure that people behave in a particular way. So when you're divided in that manner, will you be in the position to help yourself against the enemies? No, you won't. Same applies even in Christianity. How many types of Christianity that we have in the world? They are countless. We have so many different Bibles that have different interpretations. So even the Christians themselves, they cannot go forward and challenge the Bible because they are also divided among themselves. And this was done systematically to allow the division through the writings and approved doctrines. So until we go back to the drawing board, and the drawing board is to understand that I'm not dismissing that Jesus Christ was never there. Who am I to say there? Because this is history. If it happened that he was there, but he was also manipulated. And I am convinced also that God exists. Why I do so is because looking at the surroundings and be able to see the creation that is integrated, the dependency of a human being to a plant and the other way around. The manner in which the world was created demonstrated that somebody intelligent sat down and created the world. So with that, whether it's he or she, to me, is that supernatural that I believe in. And it doesn't come from the Bible. We have in the Bible, in Africa, where God is called Muari and then Unkulunkulu. But those things are being dismissed. They think that, yeah, it must be from the Bible. And once you question it, and then you are an evildoer. So the division that we have will not allow us to confront correct questions like we are doing today. This type of topic may be seen as a topic coming from evil people. We are not evil. Actually, we're defending God because their God is the real God, not the God of the Israelites, the evil God that has been instigating wars since ancient times, and even today it's taking place. We're talking about the real God, the God that has created the world and is not in the Bible. The God that is real, you look at the surrounding, you are able to see God, because God is the God of peace. Because when you are not at peace, you can tell lots of stress happening to you. But when you are at peace, you are happy, and even the health of you and the health, it's in order. But when the people like the Israelites, what they're doing to the Palestinians, and we justify that it's coming from God, that is not the real God. The real God is not in the Bible. These people must throw away this book. Maybe not really throw it away, but to go back and pinpoint things that are wrong in those documents.
There's a question here. The question reads like this. There's two questions to Muslims and to Christians. Question number one to Muslims. Muslims believe in Allah and they believe Prophet Muhammad is the messenger for them. Now, in the case of Gaza and West Bank, Palestine, where is Allah in this case? That's question. Question two. On the Christian world that are manufacturing weapons, where is Jesus or their God to stop them from killing one another? Last comment. Is there a thing called God, or we are just being told for obedience purposes? A young man is asking this question. Can you comment on it?
Yeah, as a spirituality person, and one not wanting to deny the fact that the creation was created by somebody holy, somebody good, I will answer those questions in this manner, and we have already alluded on that. The Bible doesn't justify the existence of God because of these horrible stories that are in there and the manner in which it is being used today. The Quran, to say from the context of the question, it's the document that was written by somebody who went to have the experience alone, sitting alone, and meditate and come up with the writings. So such cannot save us. Why? Because we are depending on somebody's experience, not our own experience. The Bible is the experience of the Israelites. The Quran is the experience of Muhammad. And then after Muhammad passed on, the division came into play. So to me, God does exist by looking at the surroundings. But I also asked questions while I was looking at the subject of today. Why Jesus or God would not be ashamed from what the Israelites are doing today. We can look at this from two different contexts. We have, on the very same question, we have the divine election and the covenant. The divine election, I need to repeat. The Israelites are said to be the chosen one by God. It was the story coming from the first people on earth, and more especially the promises that were given to this gentleman by the name of Abraham, who happened to sleep with his helper and have a child. And then we have we look at the justice and protection of the promised land. The Israelites, because that land was given to them, they were moved from Egypt back to Israel. It's given to them. So they believe in that. Jesus Christ won't be ashamed of that. And then Jesus, because it's a Jewish identity and mission, so surely it will be fine when the Israelites are destroying other people, because we also see the loopholes coming from Jesus himself in the Bible. The divine providence of the history. Some believe that historical events, including the conflicts, are part and parcel of reprimanding the evildoers. But I also have a counter argument on that, on why Jesus or God must be ashamed or opposed. Jesus taught about peace and love, and then we look at the behavior of the Israelites. Do you see peace or love? And then God's
But they
justice
don't
and
believe in
compassion.
Jesus. They don't believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
The rabbis talk all
So
the time. They don't believe in Jesus. The settlers are burning Christian churches there because they said he was a madman. To them, he was nothing. They laugh when they see you are being Christian. So Jesus Christ, according to what is happening currently, he will be classified as a Palestinian. He will be looked at as a Palestinian, not on the Jewish side, as according to how fellow Christians or the Nazarenes are treated. They will be classified under the Palestinian side, not on the Zionist side. No, but the very same people, they say God promised us this land 3,000 years ago, but they don't believe in God. So I'm not sure
that's
which God.
contradicting. They are contradicting themselves because they cannot be selective on what they are believing in. So if they don't believe in Jesus Christ, then they shouldn't be believing in the promised land, because the issue of the promised land has been said since their departure from Egypt, even before that, that we want to take you to the promised land. And the prophecy took place even before that. So they cannot be selective. So that demonstrated that they are fake. The reason why I can be saying that they are fake is because you look at their behavior. They were supposed to be protecting this nature, the Bible, the nature of the Bible, but they are operating differently from what the Bible is saying. So yeah, the issue of the Bible and the Christian not touching or asking critical questions, it's really a problem. That if we do sit together, the whole world, and question this book, the world will change, because we'll be able to pinpoint areas where the Bible is being used or what has been used since the beginning of the earth to manipulate the human race.
Okay. Can our producer play us the last video of Julian Assange talking about how the Western Christian countries are having their fingers in all the countries around the world, so that when we have 6 minutes left, so maybe you could put that into context for us. The last video.
We should understand that Australia is part of the United States. It is part of this English-speaking Christian empire, the centre of gravity, which is the United States, the second centre of which is the United Kingdom. And Australia is a suburb in that arrangement. And therefore we shouldn't go, oh, it's completely hopeless, it's completely lost. Australian sovereignty, we're never going to get that back. We can't control the basic big regulatory structure, which we're involved in terms of strategic alliances, mass surveillance, and so on. No, we just have to understand that our capital is Washington. The capital of Australia is DC. That's the reality. So when you're engaging campaigns, just engage directly with DC, because that's where the decisions are made. And that's what I do, and that's what WikiLeaks does. We engage directly with DC, we engage directly with Washington, and that's what Australians should do. We have this electronic globalization. You can read all their newspapers, you can write letters to them, you can engage directly with all these institutions. Just do that, because that's where the decisions are made. They're not made in Australia.
Yeah. Now, there's something that Julian said. He said this is part of the English Christian empire. And that's where the subject of today, the Christian empire, that US is this side, Australia is that side. But he is now telling you that all decisions are made from Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
In summing up, also to encourage people to read this book, because it does talk about some of the things that we're discussing in this subject. It's very critical. It's a liberation book that Tiniko will also add her views into that. In closing, you heard Julian Assange putting the story forward, saying the whole world, where he is in Australia, basically he was summing it up that look at all our problems around the world, they start in that place. And they took over from Britain. They took over from Britain because they were once a subsidiary of Britain. And it's Christians. The Christians are enabling the Zionist system that infiltrate. That today we get to learn that the Zionists, they were the ones behind COVID for financial gain.
Mm-hmm.
In closing, with this whole subject, what should people do? The young man asked questions. We didn't give him straight answers because there are no direct answers. His question is, where is Christ when his people are being slaughtered? Where is Allah when the women and children of Palestine are being slaughtered. I'm going to hand it over to you. You will sum it up. You close for us. Give us in 2 minutes or in 1 minute, what is it? I have a feeling that we should continue with the subject because it's
Yeah.
never ending. We can give multiple examples. We can bring multiple books. We can talk about ANC. We can talk about EFM. All of them, they fall victim of this subject. So take it over.
Yeah. So to me is to go back and review the pattern that the Westerners has been using to conquer the whole world and using the Bible. That will save us. We look at what happened when they divided Africa for their own benefit. When we have the poem I was talking about, where the Africans, they were called, and also I would say the non-Europeans were called non-humans, and also childish, because they wanted to prepare their ways coming through the development theories, so that they say that we need to benefit from this development. Whatever happened during the Berlin Conference, it was also stated by President Harry Truman in 1949 that non-European countries, they need to be showered with development. But the question is, are we developed since they brought in this civilization, this development, the capitalism? We are still struggling, and we're still believing in the Bible, but nothing is happening to save us. You will pray until you turn blue and nothing will happen. So we need to come up with better ways to see God and save ourselves. Nobody is going to save us coming from the current operation of the Bible. I will end here, but I will want this topic to proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's reflect on the subject. It's an unusual subject, but we must also indicate that in geopolitics, we touch on religion, we touch on finance, we touch on sport, we touch on all sorts of things because it involves the whole spectrum of life. But in saying that, let's have a lovely evening. Those who have an opportunity, do find this book, read, learn. There's a lot of information in this book that will liberate your thinking, liberate your mind, liberate the way we think. And we will dedicate this show to Moses Kakane SC for this book. We will be running this prize giving for this book in the next 3-4 weeks. We are hoping that one day he will be joining us to talk more on the book, to talk more on the subject, to talk more on the way forward of the current situation of the global state of affairs. Thank you very much. Let's have a lovely evening.